Chagwa on this platform.
All right. Yeah, Honorable Nakacinda, welcome to the program once again. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving us the honor and privilege to feature on this platform and be able to interact with the people of Kabwe and Central Province as a whole.
All right. Thank you very much. And he is not alone. We also have Honorable Brian Mundubile, MP. Honorable Mundubile, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you. I'm greatly honored to be featured on your program today. And indeed, it's a good morning to all the listeners.
All right, thank you very much. And last but not the least, we have Honorable Stephen Kampyongo. Now, Honorable Mundubile is an MP from Mporokoso, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much. And we also have Honorable Stephen Kampyongo, Honorable Member of Parliament for Shiwangandu, and also Chief Whip. Is it a Chief Whip in the opposition? Are you the whip of the
Natotera sana wa Pondamali. Chikankala chakwa fati chalo chana chishiwanga matila fe Kampyongo vaishwa ati mwina Shiwangandu. Wafuma kuichinzali kuitonto kushumaruwa ngomwa ichevere luvanga rwa kusashila ganshi luvanga rwa vashulimi. Twatocha chine for you giving us this opportunity to engage the people of Kabwe, Central Province, and all the listeners that will have an opportunity to listen to us. It's really great. If we could do that, 20 babili mwenso, if you are mana 20 nentunguru shishi, na tukatana mnyene fwe utushindikire, na wabalini wachiro wa uteko, Richard Musukwa, lelo ishapamigoti. Lelo akashito tupere kale weka kwa tikansuswa. Bantu apopali yo sa tupere yo nshishi wefu twala kwanisha bantu bonse kwena twaishwanga twambo kupongo mukera abantu bafiri bale umfu. Lelo lesa na pana tumana futwala bomfya kashita mala tupera.
All right, thank you very much. SG, I suppose you are the delegation leader. We're looking at the political and economic situation in the country. Where you left and where we are. Just give us an outline.
Well, first of all, I think it's important for us to register the fact that we are in Kabwe, in solidarity of our colleagues who were incarcerated a few weeks or slightly over a month ago in Mansa over a case. I would say we have commented publicly, which we believe ultimate justice will be meted out. We believe it was orchestrated, schemed for political reasons by the UPND. There were certain processes we had undertaken to expose that scheme, including reports that were lodged at the Judicial Complaints Authority, and obviously also the evidence that was adduced before court. But as it were, sometimes the wheels of justice are slow, but we're very confident that at the end of the day, the truth will prevail. Pronouncements from UPND were just after 2021 elections. There were specific constituencies that were targeted. Misaka Indete might pronounce himself that he wanted, for example, Kabushi at all cost. He wanted Kwacha at all cost. He wanted Pambashe and Kaombo at all cost. And, we have put up a spirited fight to avoid by-elections. But as it were, we are not relenting, but making sure that the right thing is done in the interest of preserving democracy. Our lawyers were obviously arguing a matter to which Honorable Mundubile will be able to comment on, and that's a mission for which we can. But we also wanted to take advantage of the time that we're here to speak to issues that the people of Kabwe and Central Province have been calling upon us, that we yearn and desire that we interact with you because of the difficulties that they're going through. Difficulties in relation to issues of governance, difficulties in relation to issues of the economy. When it comes to the economy, I think it's now very clear that our friends have lamentably failed. today the headline in one of the tabloids actually indicate that even Nakacinda Hichilema, in all his egoistic attitude, he has now accepted that we are at the verge of an economic shutdown. He is now going around with a begging bowl, though too late, to try and see if we can solve the situation. The signs that the economy is failing are clearly seen in the cost of living. Today, against all the promises that the UPND made and the propaganda they waged in 2021, the cost of minimum, unga nomba, walenda tifuna budura pari 120, 115. Wena ufikire pari 400. Nokuya pantash. Ero nangula budure in other parts of the country, the commodity is not even available. In some places where the commodity is available, it's poisoned. Abantu bareri ya ungo wakwata poison ile lengo kutira ile pera abantu amakanza mwandu akutira bareta import ama GMOs bareta import na mataba obalepera ambya mamiras akwati ngabagayo bunga kuri firiwe barenda mu kisungu at aflatoxins which are causing not only the death of dogs and other livestock, but also the study from UTH at the cancer hospital, it has shown that most of the cancers that are being registered have to do with the digestive system, and it is related to aflatoxins. So these are matters which, as PF, we are concerned about and want to change. It's more complex. So there are many things that we can talk about, but as it were, let my colleagues also be able
All right, thank you very much. Honorable Mundubile, you've been given that task. Firstly, I would want to understand, Walishani abantu machesa mkumana, and then you can comment on what has happened in court.
Kwai walifye abamtende. Obviously, the conditions in prison are not the same as one who's got his freedoms, living with his family, and his different conditions, as it were. So, as regards the matter we came for today, our lawyers had made a bail application for those of our colleagues who are incarcerated, who were actually convicted. As you know, Kuli Mbalishibidi, the others who were convicted and not sentenced. The others who were convicted and sentenced, we applied for bail. And because of the nature of the application, it was actually a chamber application where our lawyers were given an opportunity to argue their case before the judge. And the judge will make a ruling on the 20th of this month, sometime next week, on the bail application. There was also another application that was before the judge. You know that some of our colleagues were convicted but not sentenced. The sentencing will come later before the High Court judge. Now, within the law, provisions are such that before a judge sentences, he must be convinced that the conviction was proper. So there's been an application to the effect that the judge should review the conviction before sentencing. So that particular application, the ruling will come out in October. That's right.
In between now and that time, they will remain incarcerated?
Yes, they remain in custody. Yes, they remain in custody in the meantime.
Okay. Honorable Kampyongo, you were Minister of Home Affairs, and we have seen these wanton arrests. We've seen these arrests. You saw the arrests in the PF also. You were Minister of Home Affairs. Maybe you can give us a comparative analysis, the rule of law.
Well, interestingly, I think maybe just to add a little bit on what my colleague was saying about our brothers and colleagues who we came to offer solidarity, is that Honorable Chilangwa's ruling will be on the 20th, I think, if I'm not mistaken, September, like he has rightly explained, because he was sentenced, but there is an appeal that has been launched in his matter. You asked me to do a compare and contrast. I think it's just fair to say that instead of comparing, because comparing and contrasting, you should be talking about numbers, how people. We have the same human resource in the law enforcement agencies, and we're talking about the Zambia Police and of course the other agencies, but those that are responsible for enforcing law and order, mainly it's the Zambia Police Service. And so we more or less like have the same human resource. So it's like how we manage the same human resource. Just as they would say, bad carpenter who always blame his tools. And so when you are utilizing the available tools properly, according to the law, I think it shouldn't be a problem. Yes, police have got a mandate to perform beyond a political cycle. Okay? The way they are supposed to be is like political parties would come in a democratic state and go. But that human resource you built in the police service must outlive these political cycles. That's a desirable thing to do. But unfortunately, we have seen it differently where some senior officers who have served the service have been plucked out of the service in an unceremonious way. You don't build a nation like that, because then you'll be saying every regime that comes, they would have to plug out those that they perceive to have been unprofessional or politically inclined with the particular ruling party at a given time. So that shouldn't be the desire. So my plea, instead of making a compare and contrast, is to just appeal to the police service to continue discharging their duties within the confines of the law. And when you hear that, only those that are not doing the correct thing should be worried, because even then we have institutions that should offer oversight on the performance of the police service. So all these institutions, it's like they've gone to sleep. There's a police complaints authority where people who feel aggrieved by the way they have been handled by the police should run to. But are they functional? The answer is no. You know, you have got the Police Service Commission, then that also deals with the other matters related to staff welfare. Are they functional? The answer is no. So for me, it's just to appeal. And it's just unfortunate, I keep saying this and I'll keep repeating, that while you are supposed to grow the capacity of the institution like Zambia Police with the well-educated officers, you know, who are ripe to take any position in terms of command structure. You can go and wake up someone who retired 10 years or 20, 15 years ago from the service to come back and provide the service, because we don't know this person could have been a cadre. All that time they've been in retirement, they could have been a cadre. And someone remembers that, oh, you remember that policeman, that senior man who used to offer us advice and whatnot, you can bring to the police command. That's where we are distorting it. We broadened the command of the Zambia Police so that we can have competent men and women to commandeer the police service professionally. And the people should rise. Yama. Ichi umfisha kapokola bwino. Kumusunga bwino. Well dressed. And at least progress in terms of ranking. And that ranking should not be looking at the face at all. No. The progression of police officers must be anchored on their profession, capacity, how they've done their in-service training programs, and they are assessed from sergeant to become an inspector. What have you done? Are you able to commandeer your fellow officers to undertake the duties as required? So you find that you get a person who is not competent to discharge functions and expect those that are competent under that person to obey that particular person. So that's why we are basing it. So those broadened structure, we left. You know, we only used to have, one commissioner of police, probably two of them. Now we said all the divisions should be manned by these senior officers who are able to make decisions within those divisions. Now it's not working, because if a division cannot make a decision within the division and they have to refer to headquarters, even with that changed structure, then it becomes a problem. So for me, basically, instead of comparing and contrasting, is to appeal to these men and women in uniform to understand what it means when you are in that uniform. You are a Zambian, you are a human being, and you should make sure that yours is not to align yourself to a political party in government. Yours is to outlive the political cycle of those that form government. So for me, that's why we have a problem. And if they stop getting instructions that you cannot manage and you cannot prove in court, it's better. Because if me as a politician, I give you, and I used to say this when I was Home Affairs, that the role of a Home Affairs Minister is not to micromanage the Zambia police. Because if you give instructions which are unlawful and someone follows that, the police is not ending in themselves. That's why they're courts of laws. So if you find that most of the cases that are going to the court are laughable and our officers cannot even defend them, you can even see that this one is a bogus case. This case is borders on someone who could have been instructed, but then they can't go and stand and defend that before the competent court of law. So that's why the challenge is.
All right. Dear listeners, this is a sponsored program. At a later time, we'll be able to open the phone lines 077 00967. But just for now, let's listen to this bite.
You know, sometimes Zambians can make you feel like you have been running the country for 10 years, when it's only 2 years, 6 months. Because they lampoon you with all the problems, even those that you inherited. And in a way, whoa. Hey. Ale pusho mukashi munganda. We mukashi wa. Naikosa. But then we said, it is important that as a country we do things deliberately, not by chance. So I want to say what you're witnessing today.
Honorable Nakacinda, there is a claim that, Zambians are blaming the current regime on the problems you created a long time. You left the economy in tatters, prices of commodities and a lot of other things. So the blame is on you, the PF. You left the economy in tatters.
Right. One of the reasons why we came, we could have actually been all of us, the four of us, including the former Minister of Mines, would have been discussing and debating together, was also to showcase to the Zambian people and the people of Kabwe and the Central Province that we are ready to govern anytime. You press one button after voting us into government, we're ready to run, because the human resource in Patriotic Front is second to none. That question you've asked, allow me to call upon Honorable Mundubile to just comment. Then I'll come back, because I think in terms of the rule of law, having beaten the record of HH, he has been harassing everybody that he's been arrested 15 times. At least that was for the entire political career up to the time he was voted into as president, 15 times. But he's been in office for less than 3 years. I've already reached o'clock 20 times, based on just political commentary to provide checks and balances. And they have turned the police as their their PR department, but using arrests as a way of responding to, our challenging this government. Honorable Mundubile, the economy.
Thank you, SG. Yes, I think there's been claims by the UPND that we messed up the economy, and it's a runaway statement that we hear every day. And secondly, there was a claim by the UPND that they wanted to double the economy. So our position, as SG has rightly pointed out, would like to just point out a few things under the PF that showed that what we did was not to mess up the economy, but grow the economy, and contrast it with the statements made by the UPND that has been saying they wanted to double this economy. Now, countrymen and women, the economy is not doubled or grown through speeches.
you don't double the economy or grow the economy through speeches and rhetoric. It's through practical measures. Let's go back to our time. What did we do to grow the economy? Some of the measures, we ran a pro-poor government, but we went to understand what it took to grow the economy and interrogated the reasons why the economy had not grown for a very long time. All we heard about was potential. There's potential in mining. There's potential in tourism. There's potential in agriculture. And for a very long time, everybody just talked about potential. So what President Sata and President Lungu did, they took practical measures to ensure that the country realized that potential. Number one, to be able to grow the economy, you have to build infrastructure so that the areas where you have this potential, say in tourism, we went countrywide, ensured that there was what you call backbone infrastructure in various parts of the country. You had communication towers in areas that we never thought of. These are areas where you found waterfalls and other tourism assets. We began to do runways and airdromes. We did road infrastructure. We did energy infrastructure. The idea of creating this backbone infrastructure was that Mporokoso Harbor became an economy. Kalungwishi, Lumangwe Falls, and all these other areas and the farming blocks. If you look at the mining sector, you will agree with me that the PF government took practical steps to ensure that the country could maximize benefit from our mines. These are the mines, as Honorable Musukwa would confirm, that built this economy soon after independence. And when they went into private hands, what we had were businessmen who came to maximize profits, evaded taxes, and ensured that they paid the least, and in most cases went out with it. What did we do? We repossessed those mines so that the Zambian government could run those mines, or better still find investors that could operate. So to answer the question, when the UPND is saying we messed up the economy, the Zambians should ask, how did we mess up the economy? When we improved communication infrastructure, we improved the energy sector from 1,600 megawatts at independence. For 50 years, we're running on 1,600 megawatts. The 10 years that we're in government, we improved it by an extra 2,000 megawatts to go to 3,536. We introduced in excess of 2,000 communication towers countrywide. We did 8,000 kilometers of road. So who has grown the economy? Who messed up the economy? The 3 years in government of the UPND, there is no single project that they can boast of that adds to the GDP of this country. All that we have are projects under CDF. We are now seeing ministers commissioning septic tanks and soccerways. A confirmation that there's been no infrastructure development under the UPND. Yeah, so to summarize, the PF government went out to expand the economy, but they started with the basics. The basics was to ensure that when an investor comes and wants to invest in Kawambwa, he should be able to find communication, should find power lines, and he should find a road. Then he can put his money in Kawambwa and start growing tea. Before that, there was just land and the potential, for growing tea. So the PF attended to the fundamentals of growing an economy. The UPND has not done anything whatsoever apart from making pronouncements and speeches that they will double this economy. I just want to say that.
Ewale ngoro kutira bena Zambia bambe kula dauta chashu pile po pali ifwe ba PF to amwene kutira ifintu sima twalachi tule twalechita no buyanda twaleleta bwala lenga bena Zambia kuchita igino bufu ba UPND, and therefore to chilefe concentrate kubomba without countering the propaganda panga fina chaba udobu fina kumonekera pabwe lukutira abaneso wakate program nangula agenda ya kuleta ubuyandaji kuno ku Kabwe aba minister wa former minister wa home affairs balishiwo kutila economy ya kuno Kabwe outside ama mines ya labachite privatize no kuisala was also supported na the correctional facility. Kwali pamoja tam MMD wale fukutora headquarter kuisa kurusaka. But wali monokutila most of the economic activities that involved the correctional service, if it ran a prison, were supporting the business community monomukabo. But it's a that headquarter of correctional service kukabo. By UPN device because of selfish interest, because our nurse UPN businessmen. Ganeva akainde businesses from the birth of a human being to the death of a human being. Everything in between is involved in that. Ngatuanda kuma supply ya beans ya kapenda ngatuwafanikisha tukasangukutira na kwatamo munwe na ngula chikondo. That is how in Lusaka routing money. He was playing reverse psychology. He was actually the one wanting to move all economic activities into Lusaka. Gamwamona mibombele ya Zambia Railways, Nabepaya. And if the correctional facility has been moved to Lusaka, Zambia Railways the bomba will win. Amena Kabwe, Nishifia Kushitashani, Fiapo. So we can look at many other aspects, even when it comes to infrastructure. Mundubile. At least if we have a PF to a son. And correctional facilities, Zambia Railways, Abantu Central Province. They depend mainly on agriculture. What happened from security reserve to guarantee that for the next 2-3 years, in case there is any disruption in terms of weather, we are still able to survive. They forced forced one of the MPs here in Central Province who are the minister, MP Oksam. We are diligent businessmen. Fiance. That's why they require poison. As Patriotic Front. So in Zambia, our problems they are self-inflicted. Yakupanga by UPND because of reckless decisions which they have made. Honorable Kampyongo.
Maybe before Honorable Kampyongo comes in, you couldn't reopen Mungush Textiles. The UPND have said they're reopening Mungush Textiles. We saw some containers bringing equipment. So maybe you can comment on that.
To adibeba abena Zambia trefo kuibukisha kuna wakabu. Mule lolekesha sana. Nga wakainde balelanda. Wakainde nga wapishoru nimipaganwa 3 times. Nishi alipekanyo bufi. So ili Mungush Textile. Nga mamonefo balelanda pona wakainde lo balelanda. Bufi weka. Because Abanese, they thrive in propaganda. They got into government through propaganda. They are hoping that they will continue to govern through propaganda. They were saying that there are going to be a certain number of containers in terms of equipment and so on to capacitate that facility. For
instance, 400 and the 8 have so far arrived. The others are on the way.
Yes. So out of 400, Erobasa later got 8, and we know that the target is basically to revamp one, department of that facility. Basically, having tellers, kula tungali, some uniform for nurses and so on and so forth. But the fabric will not be generated from there, because even the negotiations about that reopening that facility are still underway. They haven't even concluded. It's like the way they did the KCM Kuchingola. But President Baran that I not so vakare KCM. Can she wachirale chama dino na ulamwenye wale tobu afu wukanambasana kuchingola. By the time they are coming to now make a conclusion, they had contradicted themselves many times. The president ran that out to repair vendetta because those who are saying we're giving vendetta. Next thing, we have found another investor and so on. Next thing, so even the story about Mungush Textiles, if I tell you kutila, don't face a matter of time because but after some time you'll be caught in the same web. If you want to be kutila, in 10 hours. By 14 hours, dollar chachani yala bwela. Umutengo wa mafuta. Bato beleshana ababe ba PF pali 17 kwacha bale ibapo 3 kwacha. So inenga na isanga tafuma po 3 kwacha wakla between 12 and 14 kwacha. How much is fuel today? Over 30 kwacha. So if you continue to believe Misaka in the HMS lies, you will be banking on false hopes. And in the process, it limits your innovation to survive. Let's just accept we are in trouble. We have to use personal initiative at family level and otherwise to survive. Lelo, kuno, kuri in other parts of Kabwe, amalaiti ya ile panaini, ya mwere roka chelo. Nga lelo tu atrafu makurusaka fwe wambi, nga mapisho wa Musukwa. The whole town was dark. For the first time in the history of this country, the entire Lusaka was in darkness. Because power idea, ngaya kachelo, kubwela is after midnight when people are sleeping. Those who are surviving on, welding, barber shops and so on. Whatever my welding, kuikara panse until manati ya isangan pa 01. For the 2 hours that they'll have power, they'll be welding at night. No baba ma barber shop. Kushotu wa sende mtoshe certain musho mutokuno amanati nga isa toza tu tube yobushi kutwala mugweshe. It can't happen. That is what is going on. Honorable Kampyongo.
Na tene. Kakiripu karamwa chirisha yama. Teka mofeyo. Pantu chwa mishepo. Ifimwa kwa tanumbe fitonshi file sungang. Efe nalala ndalelo. Mukesa njibu kishana kulia bushiku. No mwaka ukapitapu. Muko azuka ponti na jikonka na fina kalungo fretanda tukulanda chali anguka ukujoba chali shupa nga wamono munove alevi kajobu iwe webele kuti nabika na 10 times na vile tumona kati ya mpira lete atea webele nga wanjingisha mwana raingisho tukato 10 dila wakuingisha mokuingisho tukato limbi 10 one goes yama wakateka wale ilisha nyokutira chemwe kwa watu wateke miaka 10 fila yo Abeni bali popele fila yo. Bali will fix it. Kanshi ofo wale samkuta fix fish. Ni bali ishibe kuta mundi ubu afya wale mona mubu teko lila tuwale teka ifu. Ifo wale la ilaba ntukuta inenga na fika ama laiti yakaba mbwe. Ama laiti mutengo ukabo wa watalala tukabwesho mutengo abantu wakali kwata ama laiti na muma komboni na mumishi. Eli ashiba isile nadi. Washima famu mwa foro mfundo 6. Ifo tukala mpela 10. 5. Small scale farmer. Pakutira mukale ni mefi akulie fingi. Eli ashibashire nadio. No mbale longa baisa tuwabe kushakoni twakase ngoma mafi. Tefo tifiroko na munga ndama funde tulepembero lubakala isa pali kisano mai. Ukuta bakese kumyako. Filafi ne bayise turayo kutira I've ended road shedding under 2 years. Nomba fwe bajopero emilimo ya kushama right. Ifo twashire ucharo mu rubuto. Abantu abalambo kuperurura nomba compare and contrast ya wachikumyako pakwamba. Pantu inchito ifuiro kula ilandira inanga wasajipya twa Kampyongo fish mwabombapo muno mukabwe na isa kwa na muntu wanjeno na ishiri bakapokola bale kala mutu mayanda toto akwatinga nabo mamwandaba dimbina napa kuingira ta wishibe ishayishiri mukola ndala ndechira bakateka bala ndifo kutya baka mone mikalire bakapokola yala bashani twaisa tutama amayanda ngamwafuma muno mukabwe ba yama mune muna mayanda yereka bakapokola na kwa pongo shina batandala kumona Afrika pokoro kwa ishire na my uniform na alama uniform to ashire to washira ayasuma bweno tabeshi bine kwa sambile pantu tutuma ndabale kala monga kulinga ile loka muntu wandi na urwala mumala pakuti ahunyanga ngalo kufuma munga ndoyo poso musoro nishi waga bweka we so twaisa leta ko muchinshi nero mule bebo kuti abakapokola bombeli bwino nishi na wishwa ti imwe buteko mule chitashani mule na mubasaka mule bombele fintu filingiro kuba prisons toilet prisons zakale nomba muleti correctional service yali ni paradigm shift of changing the whole institution and offender management mule mfaba yamo twayambo kusunga shana bafundwa pakutira chichinje ko muri fira chale bakale nga bakubika mu kifungo kukusunga fe nga bulidolesa mu kufumata pali ne chachinja nga wakwate shokole akufuma fish twachitile atlanda ko mukambo SG kutila headquarters ya correctional service baishe ifunya kuno baitwala kulusaka tweberoke nga chinshita shupa na imwe bene na tumusumbuleko fira baleti ba gadi jele na mu uniform waisa mwana uniform mwali pitaka suwe mikuteni twaisa chinja twabakulira kwa manda na mwana manda abakula kufungo kule ba yama ififungo for the first time in the history of this country kusura kwa chifungo chipya ni mu buteko bwesu mu kumwembeshi ni kwisa ni mu Central Province mwana mfa ba yama tatwa pelelele apo kalonga meeting ile mgaila kubunga mulelia twanangula mule mwanaga punga twatiria abafungwa fira kale bale batu kwale bokulete fira kule bambi bale ta supply fira bale timpepo lero fira kule ta firisango mu prison twabika meeting plant pale lero ile yafako na abantu kutashani ukuya mkutanta maka chero bunga ule moneka kwa tebule chipako farming program ama farm yaba correctional service mono mwine fe kwisambo kunga wa ba Nelson kwali bebala twali baleterana ba machine twashire muno mkabwe na bakateka ba Edgar Lungu ukwisa leta fi machine fya bulimi na ba moto kabo bashale kwata abantu twabaletera okutamule bomba bwino ngabo mafi wa buteko amaya moneka baponda mali nero alefumo mushirikale na uniform leronga wamona abali ba guard jele ba correctional service officer bale moneka ngabantu nero bafa yokunyisha chanchito abantu bala butukira konomba nichipipe ero nombo omuntu waisa abwera webere yo tufunye headquarters tutwale ku Lusaka after twakula amayanda twakula na fyonse ama famu tepuno mweka mukabwe nga wayakuna nsanga famu block kwa we famu ili kalamba na amensheko yaba yakutemo mu akudonzo mu akulima irrigation iya kwa tinga bati bambe kubomba ya collection service central province no kuti halisha bwino efyakoli ukuisa mfatio wa collection service na wale bashitire famu kuri bazamu beef ni mukabonana so nde famu mone ukubomba imirimo ila moneka nero ndeza muno mukitwe muka ndo mfane chirumbana inenga ndenda na isa mone fintu fya shala pantu walisha pa maskid max apale pitaka bomba maskid max yalanda temana ndakano waisa yo chani iyo valela ndeyo infanti ndeyo bakona wa PS aba bakalemba wa mkalamba uteko muno wa PS teka nyenyi stop being a politician. Yes, you were appointed from outside the civil service. Ideally, permanent secretary, jobs, district commissioner, you could get someone who has been in the public service to understand the systems and the functionality of government systems. Bali mula time for fine, the easiest thing you do is adapt, learn, mwasambili la wangu. Yadama politics, mule yangala, mwa mkukwela pali mwungushi textiles. Yagi no kumubwele la nomba line. Ifo tatuwa tumpile. Ukujishafira chali. Tuwalishi benchito ya lingiro kuchitika hii kalamba. Na wa correction service abandela ndamo, wantu tuwalefu abasende molu bali. Pakute bambu kuli makoto ni bueno. Dilamula isula chila chambo kula chila vale tungila pwefintu. Ni cotton supply. Ili guaranteed. Not vila chali kunu makule wako aliyeti outgrower. So icha lepo se nshita. Kumoro kutila mwasanga nshita iya aba sustainable. Iya aba sustainable. Eche abalungu wale kananga matia yote ni muchita announce bebele na mwisho kula chitefyo. Chimono kuwepembo musheto. Ero tawa etefya kole. We mwene wambwa ulile nsala ero fya kujata pali. Nombo le fokula bepembo le buya kanwanju. Mbwa ya chinsho mchila yanaka. Ya isa mwana yebero yu bwana lebe pafi. Akwambira pono kukupepeka. So epatonala ndaba ama chaptira. Ifo twashire ubulimi bulebomba. Ichalefu akakulunda po. Ubulimi. Twashana amatawa muma stores room mwale mwone filu amatawa twashire. Twale umana filionse naba nesu mu parliament. Twebere ifo fwe bayishi ubulimi ubu. Mwishitishe ifo fya kulya mwasanga mumatala muma sheds. Yo mwale mwana wa mutolo bale toloka we shall never ever turefo kupanga ama dollars baponye nsala. Maponya nsala. So wakateka ngabalera ndokutira yo ifo turela ndechira ndelande. Yo tureko nkapafira yo wala ile. Mwatiteleshani pabulimi tukala furisha abantu mifundo 10. Mwaisa ishishenya nje nomba mwala lisha abantu nyanje shabola. Ni munona abantu omuchire moneka ne fiba yama. Tatuishe no tumula base tunofo turebomba. Ifo twashira ama light more than 3000 megawatts. Elo chaise supali ya twaisa pole chipowe pakati pale 2017-2016. Chati chupe kwa webele yo declare the food disaster to wedawe mweteka nyeni to the things under control. Na tuiswe fya kula tukwete. They should declare disaster, national disaster. Hii tulimo nomba ni disaster. We are a country ni disaster. Now, just on food, we are in food secure and the disaster as declared. Vale fo kulombe ndalama kuba kulombako. Filo tulelanda ni bwabo yama. Twali kwata supplementary budget yo twali approve. Indalama shaishire mukulomba pakuba ba disaster. Ta sharifika na kuli 5 billion. Ulemufu. Nomba tuise kuli zesko. Hii ne tulenda malight. Twashire 300 megawatts. Kundola kwali dola energy 100 megawatts. Twaisa chikafiwe goji dawa isire bale ikunta pa fifu baida basanga naipwa bumwenda mwalimwa atiyo twa isula malaiti tobele teka nyeni bola panshi abo bahambo kushisha malaiti kufyalo fimbi shisha nya malaiti bali irangira bene bakatekelo bali ku China bebele twafikire mu comfort zone twaisa mwana kwa tinimwa bwana lale muri bu bantu bumwenda mwalimwa tetuishire kuba bayipusha ko washirali matu wali minesha nyapo bambo kushisha malaiti fyafine chali kumataba mwebekala chalo ndefa mwishire fyafine chali ukushisha kwa matabo kwa bolo kumisaka mana nomba wala miletera mataba ya kutaya mudu walikata ero ulanda utwa kwata muno tulechitanga wa mfensala nomba wala butuko bwali epo tufikire bantu imwena ile baponda madiri mbikuti wako kuchipatala wako atiro walili afrotoxi nomba nga wafuma makururu wali obwali pakutuke shibati wakwata afrotoxi ni mwili myaka milele kuisa kunguka fe muntu waya bashika tinali nawo so efo tulanda chakutila techibale ilishanya wakateka bakonka nene filayo echo balela ndabali we fix it ineno mbana isa ngana afika fya mafuta ya mundu ishanya ba PF bale bapo 3 kwacha ifo yakala bapali 10 kwacha inden iyo yatushirire ba UNIP bakaunda na ba MMD baisha abale sungulwa mafuta tazama pipeline no mtu alese nda mafuta ya kuleta pa inden to sungulula mwana afuma ba diesel mwafuma ba petro mwafuma ba jet fuel ya mafuta ya ndeke mwafuma HFO amafuta yako ya muri ba mine na mafuta yako na muri ka Ndola energy mwaisa isala mwebere ifuto kwa shita mafuta yawe nguru wakale nomba ila pipeline ya leta crude oil omo mwale nguru amafuta na ma products ya lefika na ngu 10 mwala pisha mu diesel nge idize ilenda no musebo fyala indira ndishani pakuti mutengo ube umowine uachipa ero finished products of chaba bayama filafine ichinja muno changa bari pembera bari kuti yo bayira bibala ndo mutengo wa mafuta pampera ya mweshi balaba kweta mafuta kali kuikata bala pembera tumfo mutengo wa wanyowani tefe okashito imweshi uleisa so lina stock ile pa tuwe mkusha new stock nishi na ichinja na ichita fluctuate kanshi economy na ipena no kuikata limbita paka benga ya pula pa irendera so ofo tulela ndaya machaku tafe bakateka bafire baisala doctor mwecha lonjerelenko filafi onse lela ya fimo na chishupa ifo to akwanishisha nokusunge chalo covid eyo ya tebelele sondele onse wa odionse ewa le imini na pachuru bebere imwe ba PF tamkwete mano isale ni chalo ifo to aisa tontonganya kutanga to aisa chalo na tukwataba busu na tukwataba shima businessmen bala kuta muno ngafuma kuma kululu aisa ishafu tuntu ali ya mubu shikumu no mbanga mwatile chalo twisale mwalaipa ya bantu nensala abashikwete pakumo kuboko efira twatire na tumo lupo twalaendela na malaiti tayashimine ne mikoti tatwaisele no mbelo takuli na covid tulifie chalo nomo amalaiti chalo chawa mufifi tatuife na pamula basali mbikuti file tulela ndama malaiti haya no mba tuletira devil is a liar lelo tufiro kumono kuti abakateka bombe ni milimo ngamwa bomba bwino efilayo tamufina nokula ilisha nyokutire na ngumba 3 years no mbechebeka kwa 10 years awe nge 15 na tanta kula ine takwali kuti yo home affairs yo bakateka kushinka chini waka abashirikana tawako chama yanda tawako twa uniform kuipompa.
Let's listen to another clip supplied courtesy of the PF media team.
It is unacceptable that the price of Kampyongo 157, 160, abantu tabaka Europia kuliwasha sana kwa Isana kulisubirisha na leo kulisubirisha ukwati wiko rasta unga 157 kwacha ushauri kualisha HH's job is to reduce the price of dairy milk, and that will be my number 1 priority.
Gentlemen, mwana wangalia kuunga tema na msuma, and you made the mini meal expensive. Your reaction?
Wow, I think if you also feel Palwala, obufu wabakainde kulipalwala ukufiro kwena kainde na firo on offront kuri economy nana share ko my brother to amplify. Allow me to touch issues of governance. Wakainde chilema na bafirwa ukuteka but balefailisha sana okuikala mubuteko ekyo bambira okuchita as a way of perpetuating his stay in government because abena Zambia across the country namushana kuno ku Kabwe or mu Central Province abantu nabapanga kale ekipope okutira uyu muntu kuyabebere because ngafira mwachiranda umuntu angalira kubwali temwana musumayo. So the first thing that has happened is that Abanesu, the UPND, attempted to try and differentize Patriotic Front because icho echile pela abena Zambia kufiro kulalana because ichipani chabo cho barefo kubwekesha po chipani cha Patriotic Front variesha ku destabilize no which time was leadership. I just want to assure the people of Kabwe and the people of Central Province and generally the people of Zambia that we will deploy every divine wisdom and every human resource within the party to resolve the issues that are in internal challenges we have as Patriotic Front. Because that's a part of choice. Beyond that, the Zambian people have echoed in many ways that I would want, President Edgar Chagwa to come back into government. But they further presented to us that if there is a way you can work with others, would love that there is an opposition front. Hence, when President Lungu came back into active politics, he pronounced that can we work together with others. The first step out of that call was the establishment, of UKA by those political parties that responded immediately. But there's been a narrative being suggested that in forging these relationships should be some of the people are basing it on the basis or possibility of President Lungu being blocked from a place of optimism, and therefore they are counting on that. We want to make it very clear to the people of Zambia that the issue of the eligibility of President Edgar Chagwa was settled in 2021. Even if, for example, President Edgar Chagwa, by a misfortune, Akainde does something crooked, as Secretary General of Patriotic Front, I want to affirm we deployed President Lungu into UKA, just like we are open to deploy him to other platforms and political formations. But the responsibility and allegiance of President Lungu and all of us is to PF. If President Lungu, the one who have deployed, is differentiated in any way, PF still reserves the right to deploy another person from ourselves to go and engage where President Lungu ends. So those who want to relate with us from an opportunistic point of view, that is not the way we're going to operate. PF is an independent political party. It has its own internal processes, and we anchor what we do from a place of the collective. We have, members of parliament. We have mayors, council chairpersons, councillors. We have the structures of the party across the country. And that is the engine the Zambian people are depending on for them to be able to dislodge this oppressive government. I thought I could just put it out there to assure all Zambians in Central Province that we are not playing a game of takataka. We know what we are doing. We have a clear agenda on behalf of the Zambian people. President Lungu was called upon to be able to marshal support so that we don't allow any spoiler among those in opposition, because the Zambians are desperate to dislodge these our friends who are in government. So when we reach out to others, we want to be sincere and honest, but also put our cards on the table. So
All right, you can come in, Honorable Mundubile, then we'll just open the phone line so that we can interact with your audience.
Mkwai, Mundumari, ichibemba chitila, icheba lungwati nina, icheba lungwati ika. Ichibemba chitila kabili, ichikwanka, pachimwena kumampalanya. Abantu bapundo kuti umwana wangala kubunga, temwana musuma iyo. President Nakacinda ichilema, ala ya bantu, okuti ine nineshibulimi munenu. Ngana isapo, imipelele ya mufundo, umutengo wa mufundo, ukalengo kutole kunyipantanshi. Umutengo wa bunga ukasashani, tukapona. Lelo fiishika lelo nomba, chasango kuti fionse finishwe batabo. Abantu bambi balepa pokuti, nomba emiri mine ya chinja shani. Elo kwa liba PF, twafumine muma 2.6 million tons per year. Yet twalef mambo twalifisha over 3.8 million tons per year. Twalef umfia program ya a farmer input support program. Yo tweet fisi. Wakainde ichilema, mulamu babela, waisa tuwewo kuti awe epo enene bushibulimi. Na laisa na program iwe mepo yetule ito kuti kasi. Comprehensive Agriculture Support Program. Iyo program apondamani. Na ba Minister of Agriculture tabaishefo ibonga yo. Twalibe pushe mikwingi mu parliament kuti munyinefwe. Muleti fisipo mule ifumyapo nangu mule isa reduce ikasi pia electoral pantenshi. Ibomba shani. Kanshi abanensu bakosa mukanwa, bakosa mukulanda ama speech aya kuti bale sekesha abantu pamo ichibe bale bomba. So iyo clip mwachitupela yachilala ngokuti abena Zambia bali balizo kuti bane kuli fionse ifimwangale kolele muyangala kubunga. So ichibe mbana bomfyo kuti abena Zambia pali kalakashita eba ebelumbwa tinina balabe na bena Zambia ichona bamuno kuti ubunga tabuli pali 50 kwacha iyo ngefe babala ile ubunga uli kuma 400 eba landilo kuti lumbwe ikala bantofo watula ile tefyo lechita iyo elo kabili ichikwanka bachimena kuma mpalanya ama mpalanya abunga pa 400 yao tuafilwa ama futa pali 30 kwacha tuafilwa ama light load shedding out of 24 hours 21 hours tuafilwa abena Zambi bale balumbu yatika umulandu wa ifi tefya tala chitika po ifi ngamwa alpitamo aba changela kunsamushiro na chila mone tuleisa baleti bane mone pali 3 hours per day ngamwa tamusha na 30 days yala mpela 90 hours 90 hours which divide by 24 ile mpela nchikushinga shitatu na half. So muli 30 days mweshi umo we are only having power for 3 days bapunda mali tefya tala fistika po mupamba kwa chibale wabena Zambia batolele na tolo mpamba mu Zambia nomba mwene tekutila ichilalaza chatala chiwa po mu Zambia yo inalindelanda pano nalipo chairman wa Energy Regulation Board elo nchila wa MP twalipone nune chilalange chichine limichachila napo ba Edgar Lungu bamuno kuti chairman ERB mona ichalo ama businesses aya bomfya malaiti abantu bomfya malaiti bafulisha uku teke chalo chapusa nokusta business tatupenda profit muku teke chalo bantu mumone kuti ati awe amalaiti ku Mozambique yakoza po mutengo nomba bantu mjeno hospital ngo balefwa kuteka chano kwa chaloko. What price tag are you putting on the life of a Zambian? As a government twatile ifwe amalaiti nangoko soli mutengo pali 8 cents per kilowatt hour twalesta import ku Mozambique abena Zambia twaleba pela pali 6 cents chinshi wantu achindi ko mweo wa abantu balefo mufipatala lelo bali banga umulandoka na kwata malaiti ama businesses ya wilelelo niyanga umulandoka na kwata malaiti abantu bale sanso kubalwani bantu bakabola no bale ingilila fe kuingila fe bayishi ukuthi amalaiti na yaya kuto wafenga ma TV fyonse basenda so kanshi ubukankala bwa chalo nangwichala fo chilo kubomba uteko kuti alira abantu bachula elo wingilapo ubu afya tukwete ba businessman mu government bena fyonse ni calculate okumono kuti nombe fya malaiti haya ngacha kuti washita kuli wa Mozambique tukala pangaloso ya 2 cents per kilowatt hour okuteka ekyalo wa president wesuute business yo abantu baonaika abantu bafwa ama businesses ayawa nepibifya pitapo fyachirapo okuchira pandalama tulekita save mulichi so kanshi mubuyipituleti going forward as I wind up ba president akainde echirema batwebile kuti ba opposition mulila fieta mutipela ma solution ine na ba SG na ba former minister wa Kampyongo ngamwaya ku parliament mukamone answer mukasange mwansa ya parliament muketsa sanga ukuthi tuambile mu 2022 ba president stop exporting electricity tuambile mu 2022 as opposition stop exporting electricity ulugu dokita export ya matawa tuambile mu 2022 don't sell maize abantu bakachula fyonse fit bale umfwa twaisanga mu bwafia mwewe nakabo ndefwa mumfwe amafia tulimo lelo ngefya chilanda SG tuipa bile fio mulilo pamakasa bengabula kushitisha 1.5 million tons ya mataba lelo bunga ebitemuga ikobwina ngata zuliana poison yo bantu mumone ili bashitisha 1.5 million tons bale shita import 650 metric tons they ofine to try and stabilize, which means we got 1.5 years we are there not to win. But President Nakacinda ichilema balinga filia baisa sanga ya baingila muteko tulesta a power maybe tulevo mfiapo 2000 megawatts. A prudent government ngaba mwene working with meteorological department no kuno kutibane ukutulea kuntanshi kuti kwa wechilala we would have preserved water. Ama lighting twingawula kulaga ya lighting twalishe preserve amenshi we reduce our generation to below 2000 megawatts lelo ama light load shedding ingeko ili but maybe within 2 to 3 hours that's how we manage our load shedding so kanshi ila excuse ya kuti tulepita mulifi mulandu wa chilala is irresponsibility and poor governance omulandu wa kuti abanensu elo baisa mu tekeshi tabakwetepo plani ine ya kuti bengateke echalo vaishilefyo kuti benga yafuilisha ama businesses yabo no kupanga ndalama nokona ule chalo ngefa wana ule chalo kaishi kwai icheva lumbwati nina echeva lumbwati ika abena zambe batile nina pamulandu wa bunga na batila lumbwe ika bunga bwa chilamo na fiyo ya chilamo.
All right, dear listeners, we wish to announce that the news bulletin which was supposed to come at 12:30 due to this sponsored program may be a little bit delayed. But just about now, let's do the headlines that were supposed to come at 12.
Fast and reliable news. Tune in to Live FM morning at 7:30, 12:30 for the midday news, and 17:30 for the evening news. Live FM, the number source for breaking news. This is Cloud FM News on top of the hour.
Good afternoon. The headlines at 12. My name is Awuson Kuyumayima Pondamadi. PF officials deny leaving the economy of the country in a bad state and accuse the UPN administration of mismanaging the economy. A church asked World Bank Group to take necessary steps to help countries like Zambia avoid going into economic shutdown. And Opposition Citizens First launches a party manifesto. Government commended for constructing palaces for cheese. In international news, floods in northeastern Nigeria affect 1 million people. Sports news, TP Mazembe arriving in Dola ahead of Champions League tie against Red Arrows. These and many other stories are in the midday bulletin that will come at a rescheduled time. Thank you very much. The PF-sponsored program continues, and we'll soon be opening the phone lines so that callers can participate. Good afternoon.
Fast and reliable news. Tune in to Live FM in the morning at 7:30, 12:30 for the midday news, and 17:30 for the evening news. Live FM, the number source for breaking news.
Okay, I've seen the phone buzzing time after time, but just hold on a little bit. The program has been adjusted, so we'll go slightly longer than the 12:30. So before we open the phone line, Honorable Kampyongo, you wish to come in?
Muleti honorable, muleti president, muleti councillor. Ama employers besu bantu. Lero tuwa kubantu, echo tuwapela fila yo fyami bombele. Iyo kilipu mwachila mwana pachiwe chintu wingi. Pali chini dangombe wa bantu. For example, 1,500. Ukuamba mu January. Sugar, umutengo wachinjapo emikuinga nangu imikuru isano amafuta yakubika mu munani cooking oil yachinjapo emikuinga ndi 210 kanshi nangu fenya ababene aba bonfi bamutobo akabunga kasaka kabunga mukona yanganda awe ni shinapiba echo ole mono muntu alenda pamusebo utairelira limbitale umfwa no mechi bipishe chicha chikumyako munandi chakutila mwe bantu nga mambona malaika bwana lali weka ero lomba waisa umfwa ati ba elected commission of Zambia ababa chitama mafya kusala babula ama generator set dotuma generator mule bonfa 1500 batu ala ku Malawi yo twashime kwa bena Malawi abantu wesi wale chula muno bonse mulefa kwa ma generator na muno mwine muri mwe baponda mali mulefa kwa ka generator nomba butontonga nyo bamusango shati fefine twale bebo okutila mwishi amalata mataba ya abantu mutwale kuchalo chimbi abantu bakaponenwa nensala ichika bipa baleti yo ma politics tuleta fa ma politics lelo tulipano fiatitira tapabula na lekweva. All right, kanshi ifi efo tulefo uteko munaenda chati lechi kwanga bachimena kumamparanya. How can you describe a government who decides to give away generator sets, Electoral Commission of Zambia 1,500 to go and help? Yes, helping a neighbor is when you are okay. You can't get what you have remained with to feed your children to give your neighbor. You are a poor parent. So how can you take generator sets to Malawi to go and help them for voter registration? We need voter registration here so that our employers can be registered, our employers can decide who should take them forward, who should finish their problems properly, who should fix their challenges properly. That's recklessness of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. And if you haven't sent those generator sets, turn them back so that you can either give them to the clinics in the meantime, so that those clinics that are struggling without power can utilize those generator sets and you can get them when time is okay. These are proposals that we're giving you because we don't want to just be talking. Give people fertilizer now before the rain season. Where we have rains starting from Central Province, Northern, Muchinga, Eastern Province, and Northwestern Province. Make sure that you take fertilizer in good numbers. Not people should be sharing Meda. Then you come and say, oh, we gave you fertilizer in Meda. If you don't sell 10 bags of maize, you won't get inputs next year. Who are you punishing? You are just punishing yourselves, the government. Ero lekeni na abantu bale ilandira. Pano mpamila basa mkwete mule umfu abantu fu bale landa waponda mali. Pantu abantu ebale umfu kufina kwa mchele untu asendero mkufina pa mchele pa mutwe. Na mweba abuteko. Lekeni ukutitikisha abantu nga bale mweba kwefintu ufo file chitika. Abantu chimone ifilola. Mirror. When the mirror shows you what your hair is wrinkled, you comb the hair, you don't break the mirror. So tulelo mbako ababa kwata nsamusha kulanda kwa banabo ukutuma rejo ba PS kumfwa ero mwambo kuta address ama issues ba DC waumfwa. What is troubling the people? Ebu tungulushi tekutira yo mwe batuma mafoni mwanya mwe batuma mafoni, we are going to arrest you. Alo muntu employer wenu mukamfuaya ni mailo.
All right, let's speak our caller. Hello.
Hello, Mr. President.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Yes, good morning.
Sure. It's known as Young King Cobra.
Okay, King Cobra. Let me know, sir.
Let me know come up to Kabwe.
Okay, try it in just under a minute, please. Very quick, we need to pick many callers.
Kampyongo, Mundubile, Hon
Mutende pa King Cobra lesa pale.
Wino. Mutumurushi, Amashwe Murelanda, Yareko Serchalena Zambia. Ero Honte Tule Umfwa. Ayupendi na baleteza la mchalo panopo ndela nda tulechula mchalo atuikereta tikinde meao aba kwecho tuma business tunono ba tatuishi bene chuko maya ndege kitase telengane byuko bayuti bayawa imina bujekero mukuvota na bakano kupata eupa bambi na batambi abana kashi ushipikisha kana kwa kwete ko mukiuko mukaita tupera na mahai takushipikisha nga chako bati mwangwenda kwa 2026 mwancho ngurushi ili nenga baita kupirimba ba UPND beta mkutulepo kweba kiyo mapiye kweba le ina lero tatwa tratu mwana ko futiro baita mu government kuita ikata ba yama le kantina ekene to mwancho ngurushi tulepo ko bati mukombele ko mufumye ti penki ba pesa bantu abantu wenda bashiko ko bakiyo ba le kantina ni bakiyo lero ne shatara mwana ko muntu ulesunga abantu ese na wisho kwita ekyaba kwecho awo mwamora ikira chipiri tendo bazipikecho mukibombeleko era futi atendera ko mwantungurushi bombele ko wino pachipani tuleko ayo kuishibe.
Let's give room to other people to call.
Bali mu Burundi era nomba That is very European Kabuyoko idea. So then Tungoroshi, Natakama Shugurete Mwalanda.
All right, thank you very much. Please, let's try to be brief so that we can take as many callers as possible. And the panelists take note of the concepts that are coming in, then I'll give you time to respond to them. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Mapondamari.
Good afternoon, Mulishan Mkwai.
We would like Soldier Honorary Mina Kumkuroma Extension.
Well, anyway, Soldier, just a minute, please.
Mkwai, Mulishani wa Mundubile, Kampyongo na Secretary.
Let's Soldier Mkwai.
Mkwai, kuta chakene wa kiasi lesu, ifofena Zambia, oku yonse ili mulimo ya. Nakacinda mwe bafyake patiri bakuleka na Yesu Kristo rwaishire aishire mukufira abantu so fyonze vile kuvure tamu byapaka shitaka nono mureru isaifu turubuke so twapapa tamwe bafyake Yesu ifire kutika muno muzambe takata rati tikapo tinzi independence abafyake Yesu bareya muku raro kwa kule fyakuya kuma business mutini wakwete kazata country kwata ile bafunga kama sola munike pamutenge abafyashi abareyota tuke pamutego kwena na mutengo wa bunga huyu no wa 400 no huyu na wale ndo wa pana ngishia kwa watu 240 kama kwani sho kushika leo wala kwanisha cha kushika sola wavike pamutenge ala mwe bafyashi Yesu oku yonze kwe ndu kutura tulepita na Yesu alilande wakashitaka nono natishira kwa 2026 kwa papata turi kureni kwena zanga twalira turi panja makare ya makata.
Thank you very much. All right. Hello. Please kindly switch off the radio. We are getting a feedback. Just switch off the radio where you are.
Na totra sana wakateka.
By the way, panelists, when you hear somebody say Wakateka, we have a political party here, the radio political party. It's called Zabuno's Bella Party, and I am the president. So I can't feel intimidated. I might as well recruit you. All right, Washevede is our minister without portfolio.
Yes, Wakateka.
Mkwai.
Vice Kiba Nakacinda Mulishana Afyashi.
The minister without portfolio.
Minister without portfolio, you are the one who's taken over from Microsoft.
Mkwai, Afyashi ba Mundubile, Mulishana Afyashi.
Minister without portfolio, Mushende Mkwai.
Na totra sana, mumpoteshe kona wa member of parliament bakushwa ngandu na wena. Kampyongo.
Nde umfo mutende nde umfo ya mwine Mkwai washevela wa minister without portfolio.
I think he went to Ungurushi.
Minister's gone. What did it?
Shinkasa no uteko wa UPND. Warisa washitisha mataba. Each and every day to la river. Warishitisha mataba. Emurandu. Achako batibati five of Monsieur Poro Hungabwari 120 or 100 what?
We are breaking down. Maybe let's accommodate one more caller. Otherwise, your point has been made. Hello? Yeah, you are breaking. Maybe you are working. Let's just pick one more call so that the panelists respond. Hello? Emwana nkamba mwabuka wenu? Mbanya abanyoloka?
Banyoloka abatobulenge mwa.
Amtolelele batonyo fa Nakacinda ba Mundubile ba Kampyongo.
Amuleke nkana newo kwa roho, kana chacho kwa bana ba Kampyongo abamundibile, kopambande mwa Kabwe ni bana.
Mabuka byani watashe kulengwa lesi.
Ne tokoka bo. Makwi kwa roho ngomakana na kwa Kabwe, wewe ndatoka mtu. Yabona kwamba kwamba mulungwa alo oyo mtu yacharuka chanchine weka mwenda kwa Kampyongo ba legile kwa bana banyanguka kwa mulogo ishibaganda kweta nduzi mubeshimwendia bakenje kwa mulogi abubeshi ali mu masolera bubeshi alo kuliko tutoa ali mu hadi kwa kama byako nawe bali kwa Mungu amba kushimisho bana kumbe kumubika mundoro hapo kwa ile tisho alimu prison abo batoka kusasa ekikoza kwamba ipano chanu masabo tupengete pano mutengo tupengete kumana kumchego tawa benga kule kwa bantu aba bantu nitu tabachitero Apokte kata wachite ushtomwa bwana watokuinga hapo wachachia kibamba chetu kuna baika kwenda. Alipo chuma sasa Kabwe alikuwa ndani ya wonse. Kwamba bunga kwa wonse kwa mganga kwamba sasa kwa munga kwa bunge. Na ikachukua baba kushawa wanasema tombo leo. Aliwakamba kama leo wasambani. Shongo mimi na mtu mbona anatoka nguo. Kwa tombo la makansa ya wonse maana mpira wonse wa tombo lao. Ni mtende kama tu
all right. So maybe you wish to react to some of those before you pick another set of callers.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think most of the calls are basically words of encouragement. Vale tukoseresha batoto yumya I am torolele kamba wose babona ba akainde chirema vali la kubereka ubuyandashi wakanga kuleta kuchana. I think mine is to react for Nachland. The issues of PF, Mao Sampa, and the rest of the issues that are worrying the Zambian people. We want to assure you. Turefoku kuminayo kutina. Solutions around those problems are underway. Namushiwa if ile chitika na wale moneka kwa tinaba, they have gotten a bit confused by certain offers and situations. They have realized that they are betraying the Zambian people. And to that effect, like I said, we're going to deploy every divine wisdom at our disposal to resolve those issues. Because we know that we are doing on behalf of the Zambian people. But beyond that, PF is also a people's political party, pro-poor. The real solution is not churches in our UPND. UPND te akaleke kufua yoko na ola PF, a program wa kwata, a survival tool wa kwete. They want to break Honorable Kampyongo, mwarema monofuba ishiro kuchita kuchinsali. You know, in Ishwangandu, when they tried to prosecute him, he's been going to court. I have, like I've said, over 20 cases, and there are many others. Our friends are, in prison. But when you examine most of these cases that are lumped on, leaders of Patriotic Front, they are all aimed at feeding into propaganda, but also to break the spirit of the leadership and the membership of Patriotic Front. But God has been gracious, in the sense that once MPF, we are resilient and have remained strong. Ichile papushaka inde ichile machile ngo kwa telefilo kulala. Chakutira amwene kwati after the loss in 2021, PF would disintegrate. Numba taishu kutira katuishi chimupashiwa satabasha MPF by Edgar na mela balunda. PF can be very deceitful, in the sense that we even but the bond among ourselves is so strong that to disintegrate is impossible. And everybody knows that we are determined on behalf of the Zambian people, first of all, to inculcate and continue to pursue unity of purpose, coupled with the resolve of the Zambian people to work with us to remove this government. It doesn't matter the shenanigans of Akainde. The people's will prevail, and PF is the platform. And we will not allow this platform to be destroyed or to disintegrate by whatever means deployed by our enemies. We will stand with the Zambian people. That's the assurance I can give. We are ready to make sure that all little things within the party that may be encumbrances are sorted out, so that the collective will of Patriotic Front, coupled with the resolve of the Zambian people, delivers in 2026. Right. That's the commitment we make.
All right. Let's speak just some more calls. Hello.
Yes, my president.
Okay, 20 then, confirm. Just a minute, Bacharaka.
Mkwai Bacharaka Ume.
Exactly, Charokaume. When Lungu Mendi Wafu, because there is a kind of Kabwe Mulelana. bakutera ati bali abantu ebo babika shuga mukano n'okukomya amatu ku mwandu wakutuba ba UPND nemwabati baleyunkwira bantu makamaka muno mu Kabwe mwabakwati ntungulu twakwatesha UPND kwati nikome tipeshipanga bantu shirandechi mailo shaitalandechi tapavi kishinkepe kumfwapo so lero lingi bakwati okumfwa ikishinka kulino mwentungulushi ikope kitanga twabeku tapatyo balaile tapatyo asuka bwino ilero lino n'abandi asukakwati ngo botatani video natural ipusha kuri bana ba MP bakezo tapili patyo balaile so echimbi takulekelesha kakutira tumwentungulushi kwate nuko nyina ndio kile bati bana ba secretary tuwe mfano umomo mulepita mutekutira timamu ya inono ero turi na imwe na itu kwa limine pakushinka pakutira tukunga mungarukura abantu kufi bwane tiri bali UPND netete tureka ko tatala kala potinki independence kuri aba pokere cyaro kufi andi batiri bali pekera kufi unga kwa kalonga muno ego abakwate kwa fixte kwa cyo watu wandiza kwa cyo ugogo bapete ko watano ngwaira so tatwa ishiba ngo fixte kwa tanga batisha kuteta uti tatwa kuishiba leko bakatulaniko babura mungu stektawe zibaita kimba abantu pamenza ati mungu stektawe zinabesula ukutite bweka thank you so much English konganyeniko.
All right, hello
bakateka
Shebele, very quickly, just under a minute please.
Just under a minute kutotera tentungusha na kairi kuchina lando kweba ati mwalisha bomba ngo kuteko bwati kubwa kumidepo ayamba kutekwa eshirepo inoitanga ba UPND mwentungulu chite shamani na chufwa ba Kampyongo barelanda patiga utileta karonga amayanda nepya kulya pyali kipile pali yenshita lero nga mwatumwa ne kwebekala kuma kululu mwentungulu shimwe bali kuba secretary jeno nga mwaenda mwise ko kuma kululu paka amanda make o makululu yon mwala mwonete bala mububa kunsala abantu balerira keba PF titi ngombe kumwe batechinka lero kuteko kwa UPND bali federalize kupera amameda wati mwe muba PF mwe baletera ama 6 bag bali mufumia kuna ba UPND baletera amameda and then balela dokuba bali kwa 2020 ifo tulero mba kwentungulushi kuikatana so that background we are intact, we are making sure that songa PF na futu kuteko kwa PF ukabwelele so na totela sana mwentungulushi but pali Zambia Collection Service please wakati wese headquarters ilia na due college we jamu bala yumfa kuma teba le due college we kaibena ita deputy time website but yonze atoli ko due college yo ni ko due ya na relief ya mataba nenda mechi bare ta mucharo echi bare le bala kale. Thank you.
All right, hello
doctor.
Good afternoon, nikatchen ko pano matamlile. All right, twali then skatchen ko sa twa new friend tungrushko.
Mutende mkwayam.
Okay. Mpe pina kuchilimba uko kwa mas tanken ko kuchilimba. Twaisha chino fika bino kulanda ule yumfa no kuyumfa.
Na ndela tapanisha hello.
Twali then kwa mfyanya.
Najisha kipirichi abantu bakitaza katatu information mwe yakwatira Edgar Lungu maswali twice in office then attend constitution I started your election so therefore I think for the report abantu balula establish that constitution.
All right. Okay, your point has been made here. It's the interpretation of the constitution. I think we've got capable manpower to handle that. Hello. Just take note of that.
Chiwe Davis calling from the Vedramusho Makandanyam.
And in just 1 minute, please.
Good morning, Wafiashi.
Good morning, David.
Ala Wafiashi, Kuno Kudeve. I want to go and say what it is. Chicken you don't want to take over PF of Mako. PF to a lady in Mikurita too. Lenny, no go appoint to what are they for. But to nobody 120. There are Pacono Kudeve, Reconxung and Dupa Shesu. Come to Wungani 370 400. Now Makoko. Now where the Valikoku Womba, Mandaro shading Ivalita, by UPND, who take over doom. Siwa saluni aliko kubomba. Baba manita bomba. Kusala nje na kumukushi. 5,000 workers bali losing in store youth. Mwana ndwaro tshedi. Tuwafuisha mwani mwele mupawa. Ni mutrefu watu.
All right. Let's speak one more call so that the panelists are able to respond to the concerns that have been raised. 077-00-00967. Let's speak this call and then we can respond. Hello.
Hello, baponda maji mabuka wenta.
Twabuka mabuka wena mwe mbani aba?
Twabuka nkambo mwene kwa mbanda shakio binyaba.
Baba Kelvin Ntalasha twamutambula tulichite bantu mbato banika ba Kampyongo banakacinda ba Mundubile.
Twalumba maningi. Malidazi mabuka wyanungo.
Twabuka mabuka.
Twamutambula kuno ku Kabwe.
Twalumba.
Mwane. Baponda mali?
Nduna.
Nganda sevenze kajenge kiso batonyu fala.
Batonyu fa kamubandika one Zambia one nation.
Papa nyingi amuneke msevenze cheko kinemi chefu. Chakutangu na noma leaders. Question enjoy today. Njakwambaye. Webo ndimo kalinga mukawa. Bulelo bwano bwa PF. Kali ngomo na shindu shinji. Chakali ngochi tukashitele tero. Muri makadasi. Muri mbakani ngote kanya mali. Uno tenda ndalama. Samwa ngochi wana sabo tu. Mwipusho wakutangu no. Then kukonka. Mwebo no maliga za PF ngando. Sa mali tayari zidalambo kwa chaningo pao mali hapo. Sa mwebo chaningo muponda. Question ya number 2. Yakulekeresha. Mafamazi ngomwakashia kalira. No hapa mali hapo. Bakuli kwamba mwabanyaya manchererago. No bapa mali hapo. Chaningo muyufisha kabo tumwebo.
Talumba Bantarasha. All right. He has raised an important issue. Just one more call. Hello.
Good morning, my president.
Morning, General Chongo. Just very quickly, so that the panelists.
General Chongo, waesiwe mwashuteni na wa Mundubile na wa Kampyongo mwentunguru shefu kale walika mkabwe kwa mipokerera.
Twatotera sana mwateno.
Icho ndela ndakwenenda General Chongo. Urufi batuleteri ababa UPN binga tabakafikirishe nishibuteko wakuya bantu natumuna kukati bayuta bachakambirira balechula eliyo ndomba renda balelanda tikiri wino icho tulela ndachakutila ti background abota baba yo bali kumuru because Valeria avena Zambia bali mineziro kuya mukubota bali mu sushi so icho tulela ndachakutila ti avena Zambia bale mona so imwe mtungurushi Gosenike because inesanami pera another second chance because hata inde kataba babikirepo avena Zambia ngabalemo na party is a good leader nomba lilia baba po ero nomba okay napisa mukwa ina totera General Chongo.
All right, thank you very much. Gentlemen, let us respond to the concerns. From Ntalasha, he was talking about the cadres that existed in the PF, where to the extent where they were burning money. Was that good to you? And he also asked about the farmers that you allegedly left not paid. Was that good to you? And also the retirees. And the rest of the conversations, I think you heard for yourselves. So let us respond to this.
Maybe for us to be a little structured in responding, since there were many callers, Honorable Mundubile will deal with the dual carriageway, and just, present the facts around the scandal over this dual carriageway.
All right.
The intent that we had as PF and what has been done.
All right.
It will even touch the issue of pension money because basically the pension money has been rooted.
Okay.
Honorable Kampyongo will come and deal with obviously issues of electricity and some of these concerns that are raised in the cost of
living. Then we pick the last set of calls.
Then I'll deal with the party and issues to do with cadres because obviously it falls around my jurisdiction. Honorable Mundubile.
Right. Thank you very much. And very quickly, around about 2015,
government rolled out projects PPP. Among them was Ndola Lusaka Dual Carriageway, the Kapirimposhi Nakonde, the Lusaka Chirundu, and many others. And when the contractors came on site and did a feasibility study, they realized that the only road which could give a good return on investment was Ndola Dual Carriageway. The Kapirimposhi Nakonde failed. The traffic volumes were not enough to recover. It required government subsidy. It was just a $2 billion project. So as a result of that, looking at the traffic, in the PF government, we undertook projects under what we called an integrated multi-sectoral approach, meaning that a number of sectors coming together to achieve one objective. So you remember, if I take you back briefly, that President Lungu prioritized the construction of the Chingola-Solwezi Road because those northwestern province was an emerging copper belt province. So the Chingola-Solwezi Road was prioritized. The Kampyongo Mazabuka Road was prioritized. But then there was still congestion on other roads. So the dual carriageway was urgent. It needed to be done. So government looked around and found the contractor, China Jiangxi. China Jiangxi was ready to do the dual carriageway at a cost of $1.2 billion. At this cost, one, this loan from the Chinese banks through China Jiangxi onto the Ndola dual carriageway was supposed to be repaid within 15 years. Now, if you look at the scope of works within that 1.2 billion, for instance, in Kabwe alone, Kabwe was supposed to receive an additional 20 kilometers of township roads in addition to the dual carriageway. And the towns along the way, like Kapiri, also another 20 kilometers until you go to Ndola. So when our friends came into government, first of all, they condemned the cost. 1.2 billion was too much. They went out and tendered out works to find a contractor to do these works. So the first thing that contractor did, they reduced the scope. They reduced the scope of works from what was in the 1.2 billion. Kabwe will no longer receive the 20 kilometers that was in the initial project. Kapiri will not. The road between Kafulafuta into Rwansha was supposed to be a dual carriageway. It will not be. So firstly, there was a reduction in the scope of works along that road, which automatically dropped the prices. Now, I want you to focus and see where the scandal lies. The 15 years within which the loan repayment was supposed to be made, the Zambian government was going to continue running the toll gates, get money from the toll gates and pay the contractor and pay the loan back of 1.2 billion and remain enjoying the proceeds from these toll gates. Now, the scandal that you have today is that you have a contractor, a consortium, saying they will build this project for $650 million. And the UPND government is contrasting it with the initial 1.2. So they are saying we'll build the road at $650 million. And the UPND leaders, UPND supporters go all out to insult PF, that PF will down with dual carriageway. So now, in addition to the $650 million, the concessionaire takes over the toll gates for a period of 25 years. Now, I want you to sit back and do your mathematics. Get the statistics, go to Google, go wherever, get the mathematics. You will discover that over a period of 25 years, these toll gates are going to generate in excess of $2.6 billion. So when you get that $2.6 billion, you add the $650 million, the cost of the Ndola dual carriageway is actually over $3.3 billion under the UPND. Under the PF that they condemned, it was 1.2. We control the toll gates. We repay the loan in 15 years, and thereafter, the rest is our business. So the scandal that there is now, they've only shown you one face. They showed you the 650. They have not told the Zambian people the reduction in the scope of works along this particular project. They have also not told the Zambian people the value of the foregone revenue on these toll gates. So, in summary, if you look at the Chingola-Solwezi Road, Chingola-Solwezi Road was financed by NAPSA. NAPSA gave money to National Road Fund Agency. No, National Road Fund Agency found 3 contractors and built that road. The Kitwe Chingola was built under the same model. Now, I want to ask one question to the Zambian people. What sense does that make? What wisdom is there? In the Lama shares, NAPSA. We used this model before. Ukwe sending Lama Kuliwa NAPSA to appeal our National Road Fund Agency. It's all government. Elwa sanga contractor. Elwa ndalama shirifu makuma targets kudewale ripla contractor. Tuwaleta mwatu ocean. Capturing an ocean consortium. Ule ocean consortium talondolweke tafilondolweke wino ro akwete contractor avikeko in a China railway. Why didn't NAPSA and Workman Compensation give the money to National Fund Agency as they did in the Chingola-Solwezi? Elo balabantu wasanga nomba baleta Avik na China railway. What is the role of that consortium? Tuwaisa munga ndamu mienu tuwasanga firstborn wenu alikwata kwa business alikwata kwa nendalama inenga ine na isa to nebo Mundubile consortium na isa senendalama waponda mali kuli firstborn wenu teofine no kusa kulenganda no kumitamfye munganda mumuyenu muleka na manokula po current na panga extension kunganda muikalamu na mitamfye na mubonse na manokula po current. That is taking Zambians for granted. Dio carriageway is pure theft. Nibuka wapelekeshako. Any government, after 2026, there is no government that can sustain that particular contract. Ila contract ya dual carriageway is needed. We need that dual carriageway, but it must be done properly and within cost. What we have is a scandal. Is a scandal of that road costing 3.3 billion, money taken away from the Zambian people, toll gates taken away from the Zambian people, people losing jobs and people losing business. As we look at that dual carriageway, you should understand that is a scandal. Right. Yeah.
Naso tere chine mkai kairi kutasha fiba konfo sponsor ba sanga abasinda molubali ba King Cobra kumakululu ba ex-soja kunkuruma ba shevela ba chalo kaume na ba kukawama kulia ba chiwe Devi ba Ntarasha Kelvin na ba General Chongo mukusupa wila fe mukwasuka kuli tumotu ba chikumiako ba General King Cobra nde mlomba fe ukucha nabale umfa bonse ukutila chine ichupo ninsansa panga ndanga paisa machushi pala bobo afya kuti weshitato le shinguru kama tontonga npa kutubike chakula panganda chala leto wafya kashitule milomba ko femwe bashitata ukuthi amube nemitime yashipa fela tutila ngana mabiku zafafa lemba umuyashi ba pike chala waleti ichupo ninsansa nango fishu pesha ni kushipafye kanshi kumilomba fe kutila mwe bantu bakwalesa nero wafya bwaisa pamayanda tufule to amono kutila twaikala bashipikisha bana mayo mule tukoselesha kufe bashitatanga washinguru kwa wabwela fe minwa nkutwa mwa tukoselesha kutila shikulu ala lesala pala mwala sange chakulya chakuti mutuletele ngo muntu akwata kwa mano ya bwela bantu kuti mwalefu mapanga ndana mfurwa na mpusha alenda pamusebo motoka ya mulangula kai mwashala fie mweka kanshi nero kuli uchushi twikatane mwachiranda pali ashiri amagasing chine yama takwabo buteko bwingate mokule kuchusha abantu uleteka nishibuteko ushakwata mano filafi achitike ifi achimfurunganya cha gasing na leisa lyonse na parliament na landanga chilolo wali angalira kumutende wa chalo epo abantu balendela na bakapokola babomba bali bombere chine ukumono kutila chila chintu cha bomberwapo umutende wa tashani wabwela muchalo na abantu abengi baliketwe bamba nokuyakufika efya milando lero echachitika echo mwingala ipusha ukuthi abushe wale bali ida kuchile cha milandu bayikete bakapokola abayisangira mulira misango ya bipa yakula bika abantu mukayofi chinshi pantu ndokuti mwaisa sanga pale abo bene bali chita manole umulandu lo wakuti abayimini kafewo wabulo kupwisha mu makoti nole dimbe bapoka nendalama ishishide balete abalifona nendalama umuntu tawula pita mucheta mulandu bakusanga ukuthi atapali umulandu kwete batira wafuma munole pantu nole kuti lo yumulandu dimbe kuti waisa abukuluka ngabachechete mulandu bamona kuti apali fishenka fimbi kashite tumuntu afolere kwendalama yo eche tulera ndokuti lechi chilingo upupu wakuti mwana afoleshe ndalama abantu imilandu tayila kwa mufile famiyane fya muchecha milandu so kanshi tetu uteko buwike abantu mukayofi bakapokola bali bombele baikatana abantu abengi abale akumakoti palilira lyashi lelo echo mwingala ipusha kuti chinshi chachitika ero kwabo kuchinja kwa buteko pali bala abantu balechita ifyavu baisi soja bachitwala pa masola paneo china masola paneo bakateka balechita shiteni nomba bakwete olupya lwakushita masola paneo nibanga nangufe wabo mfya bene ababuteko nibanga bakapokola nibanga ba correctional service officer nibanga bakafundisha nibanga banesi abenga kwanisha abalefiro okukwanisha okubika ifya kuli panganda nechama fridge nomba ale nunkanga ba mochari kukana kwa tamaraiti kuti umuntu aleshito tumunanya abika kumulika fridge ukuti atwala ntinta kopa milungu ibiri nombolo wakukana kwa tamaraiti chine ifintu fyaonaika tabakwete ndalama nombe ndalama shakuti bashite basola pano yafuma kuti ichibaleta bakateka kuti twabalombo ukuthi langa bayisa afunyapo ichibatira ba job mapping ichakubaleta indeke shakusabante chalo chonse shimoni apa abemi kuba shimoni napa abameshi bale posa pondera mai amakana na makana $1 million bachi minike chidya bashitire kwa abantu amasola panel kuti abantu yabafweko mu buchushi balimo emano tureba pandako eronga tureba pandako ifita bale umfwa lwabo epotire shupa kashi fimbi washabela na basuka kwa banandi bacharo bachati la comedy ala comedy chimona fana chando kuti lokubepembwa umusheto alo muntu ngalina kale akamutika mutonkolo ka toothpick kala mutya toothpick techalande kwa abantu umuntu ngana ikuta asontero bwali kukanwa kansha abo ba president abale kwata gotundalama muri ba mine twale mona na nomba line chire chitika kwasuka kwa bashabela ni muno mukabwe mutwale mona bakadda bayino nshita abo bale stisho tumi abakwete kweshuko lyako ya mutu wa mine bale akanenda na mimi fufwa muri ba motoka ni moni nino nshita muteko wa UPND abantu bale chula ne salamu makululu abantu bale chula ne salamu makawa momo bale akanenda lama bali fe mpoko twefi leronga baisa ikala pachirimba pano bakala mu bati fintu filibwino bantu bena bale tashani bale elia eyo comedy mwachirala ndapo kairi bashabula baisa tira yo bakada chine ba SG bala pushishisha icho to alisumine kuti echa bakada bala bale tifya bushuru bambitu ale bekata no kubekata tachawe me kaita chiwe mena ino ine nshita bushe bala bakada bayile puma bakansela mu kushi bakansela bale sala deputy mayor aba UPN dukuya puma na bakansela babo nishimwatia kadarizimu yalipwa ni muno bakada bale pepeka ukula pepeka na ba former president wa Edgar Lungu ukuta twa mu pepeka afuma na bakateka balipo bakaba former president umuchinshi ufire wa bapo ifo bakateka watu walitani bakateka tamwaka bala mumfa pona ngona tuisa pano pafire batu atira yo waechete bakateka kuti twalanda pafe bafiriro kubomba lero tete tubapere umusarura yo nero bakafuma po chikaba chimochine so kanshi chamwatira ndabashikuru bantu ukuti abashima famu tabafolere ndalama ebufi bantu bashima famu bonse balifole mu 2021 fino ndela ndabashima famu mwaletira mukala bakala shite ndalama makashi nanomba bengita barafole ndalama evo tungalala ndapo ifwe twalele to mufundo eshite alinga twalingiro kulunda po ifwe batula ile ukuti abakalunda po icho chishachitika kanshi ba David Chibwe batanda pa ma 3 news chine echire mfwa ilo ishita kulonesha kwali amakada ifwe twalisumina chali bipire na runo wine tachiweme pantu na makada zibene eko bachiri so totula ndaficha kutira ubuteko na bubombe milimo abantu bale kwate chakulya ngomwachala ndira chibwe insala nindi minwa kairi nsala ila leto musevanya fwe bashitata ngole fwe kubike chakulya panganda ala musevanya ubi euchirengo kwa trenda abantu nemito na usulola kanshi ichi bwafya tukwete bajeno chongo na mulanda pa misepela imisepela iyi naye abikiro buteko mulelolesha chichi balese ngamo musepela waisa ima webere twafu ensala amala itatukwete taturesoma fwe wali maskulu aya imina fa freedom statue parana bakainde bayiminine uyo mwalonga okumulonga emiringo itatu ache pesho mwayiche na babali apa ba SG abalala ko emyeshi nemyeshi mu kifungo pakulanda kufe mwe bantu ati muledo wali wunga wa poison wena bashipako ako bailese ndakayiche ka musepela kai mafekebeli kwena ifo twana kafwe bavotere ifwe bayimine kachero chelo ushete timuloleshe kupali amafa tule pitamo kanshi efyo tulelanda bashebera aya na umfwa icha makada chali bipile lero mfuro mwaishwa ngamwala mona bapatiri bala komaila pafintu muleba tuka nanomba bachiri bale tukwa umupati shikofu wesu aisa ito Lucifer no wakukani akota pati Diaba UN baisa tiramwe chalo cha Zambia to amafunde tamulelolesha ubuntu ngwa abantu bwino mwalati yo baisa pa ninguno bakateka baishe mkono bashikofu muno mukabwe bashikofu mkalamba mufya shikachema mkalamba wa Ekresha Katolika bali na meeting baya pass amali shikweka la kwasha kuma kuru ko mulela ndati kulinsala atule mfuna kono munesu sidini mushanga MP wenu uruse pantu kwena izala yalapona mwakula mwana kwa tiringi mpala chila nokweza mungu mpempula pati nimekucheza mweza mungu mpempula abantu waiza zangezala kupesha amana okuti wafuilishe kashi muleko selisha kwentungulushi yenu ba Sydney abo mkwete mu constituency yabo bale kutia chitendo na chifina lero kuma fyashi besu mwe bapatiri mwe ngakwa teshi ko kunufilako ifwe tulibaye abayistika okumilandilako ifwe nero tulekala pantule milandilako nicho natwisho kutanga twa kano kula milandilako tabaka mumfwe yo echo mule mwana nangu aba Nakacinda bafa mu kifungo aba nensulo lero bali mu kifungo bachitotela na bachilangwa ama constituency yabo tapali abalebe mini nako ngawatuloleshe bachilangwa mu nensu filamutia disabled ichilema ushitirano kutira yo ineko mama mpela kufe pampambale nshindi chilema alaliwisho kuimini na kwa abantu twaishirena kwa mu 2011 yolo twalesa na basata na ilo wachiri MP ngule talantansha mukulanda kufe abantu na muko ipantu kwena nikabulu lumunshiti na yeso lya nkoko lero tule basalikira ko kutira filafina wale chuchu tikamulya ushiruila mutembo wa munankwe no wankwe upokwa ifwe bene pokulanda koliense mfine tukoma ilapo efi ala fila batina lero bafuro kola bombana ifwe paputa tubebe bako batila wawele tashika pantu ifwe twalibomba po emilimo ya buteko kuti twamwe bako kutira pamwa ikatapa nitolilo vovo mwala leterera abantu ngafile fine tumwe bako lyonse.
Maybe before you come in, Honorable Nakacinda, we are running short of time. Honorable Mundubile, you can make just a few observations, closing remarks in just about 2 minutes. Then the Secretary General,
and the eligibility issues.
The Secretary General will make his remarks and then eventually close up. We're getting into another program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
There was a question to do with eligibility, and I think that the SG addressed it comprehensively. That matter was taken to court 3 times, and the court ruled that President Lungu was eligible, and that's the reason why he was able to stand in 2021. However, in very unusual circumstances, even when the court is a court of finality, they entertained an application, yet another application from some citizen who still went to question the eligibility of the president. As a party, we stand by the earlier judgments, 3 judgments that came to the Court, which were that President Lungu was eligible. Even as we go through this process, we remain confident because we don't believe that the court will depart from its own earlier decision. So that's what I can say about that eligibility.
Right.
Yes. So as for my remaining 1 minute, yes, I think for me, it's just some advice to government. When we talk about food security, we remove politics. We are already in the rainy season now. let the president and his government forget about CASIP. In a CASIP, it will never work. What we want to say to them is that they should deploy their provincial agricultural coordinators to ascertain the farmers, that the registered farmers in various districts, especially in areas where there's good rainfall. Let them establish how many farmers we have in Opula, how many farmers we have in Northern, Muchinga, and Eastern Province. Because these areas are not prone to droughts. Thereafter, they properly allocate Bale Kefia Kupela fertilizer, Muma Meda, Kabwe, Kapiri, and these other areas, part of Central Province, Influela Lokafe Wino. Muipela Ban fertilizer Muma Meda, Kuri Influa Iloka Wino. So that ultimately we can start going over 3 million tons going forward. So the government, through your provincial agricultural coordinators, can establish number of shibulimi. Every district, not all of them access inputs. For the sake of transitioning through these troubled times, monenyu kutumwa pela mufundo wino. Ichile ngele maka mwebe kala chalo. Elo tuwalila ndana wa msokotwane power flow of the house. Wa msokotwane baishile mkusefya okuti na basaina IMF deal. Tuwalimine mparlament no kuwebo okuti iyo mwa saina chimu kwa tuwaisaina death sentence yesu. Ifwe tuwaise negotiate IMF deal as PF. Walianga ndu alikuishini na ba IMF. Waisa pusana pa fintu fitatu. Number one, ni reduced quantum of support to agricultural sector. Number two, issue ya energy sector ya kwete component ya malaiti na ya fuel. Wa msokotwane batile kionze mtuwa mpo na IMF. Lelo pali 52 na filo kusumi na pantu fikesa onaulo wikashi wabena Zambia. Gamuleo bukisha ponda mali pa parliament wabebeli okuti iyo mwasa ina IMF in the form you have signed it. Na ifwenga tuwalefuwa yanga tuwalisaine. Tuwalikeni okusaine fyo pantu propo wapate tuwalisaka mana wena Zambia. Kama saine fyo kwa la problem mubulimi. Tabafwa yokulanda, what the issue is on fertilizer, they are slowly phasing out support to the agriculture sector. Not long from now, government will not be supporting the agriculture sector. We have already seen those measures in the energy sector, increase in the connection fees and tariffs, including the fuel. A fin to talk anything about PF, to one emerging economy, we're a growing economy. The Kenya want to wachibale yamfula amena Zambia ichalo chikuleko. So I am mafia tule pitamu are not accidental. They signed for this. They knew this would happen. Why? Because it's a government that does not really care for the poor. It's not the pro-poor government as compared to the PF.
All right. So the Honorable Nakacinda, you're coming in to close, but just before you close, there's a person that was with us here, Honorable Richard Musukwa. Just turn the microphone, just for about a minute, and Mporokoso.
Thank you very much, Mwanangwa. Really appreciated, and I was standing on the shoulders of giants, and I allowed them to articulate issues across board, and I'm very glad that they have done so for the benefit of the people of Kabwe and Central Province. I want to state very clearly that where we are under the UPND government, the Zambian economic trajectory has lamentably collapsed, and that no amount of help from World Bank, IMF, will resuscitate the fortunes of our country. What we require is that Zambia's economy, which is in the doldrum, can only be revived by resilience. The resilience anchored by President Edgar Lungu, who has teams such as Mundubile, Kampyongo, and we also have young turkeys who have come along, like Kampyongo and so on, who are able to propel and transform our country to greater heights. I think that PF has gone through the mill, and we have learned our shortcomings, and we are prepared to ensure that we change the trajectory of our country. I will not stop by insisting that Zambia's mineral resources continue to remain Zambia's comparative advantage, and is anchored by ensuring that our youths and women take center stage, especially local people, in participation in the exploitation of our mineral resources. Right. And that's the thrust of the PF government. Thank you.
Much appreciated. SJ, as you end up just in about under 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
I'm sure you've seen the quality of human resource center. Gamareta feka busoma wabikawabina butomanati bupusano buli clear. Natukwata abaleyangana kwati kubuta abantu abashefinga kukitika mu mine abana ba Edgar nwe batwafisha kutira umukuba wa kumopani tukiteshane tupoke because they were continuously abalipo but they said declare losses. The day the Zambian people were given an opportunity to run that mine, it was posting profit, paying contractors, paying the workers, no arrears, dismantling the data around that. That a mine number bashitisha kumuntu shaishi bikono kweshibika ku Dubai. So matumfo fechisungu fuchira pogatev, we are ready to govern anytime. Honorable Mundubile has clarified President Lungu is eligible to stand. That action in the Concord is an indirect way of petitioning the election of 2021. If President Lungu is declared ineligible, you know what that means? It means the elections of 2021 are null and void. Waka indechile makulonga nokuya kuisa uwengwa Balungu bagwerera mu State House so they organize fresh elections, and those who are eligible wacha participate. But mlekushekutira kunmo kwaliko decision ya kutira because of the provisions of the Constitution. I'm a minister in office after dissolution in 2016. But Concord was away. Your decision in office is null and void. Balisachana order kutira. Balingiro kulipira shonse ndarama wapokele from the time that illegal quote-unquote decision was made for them to stay in office. Whatever the ministers, balilipira ndarama shonse shobapokele nama allowances. So meaning that with that precedence, Mizaka in the HM as salaries that he has gotten in the last 3 years needs to be refunded. I'm a minister's bonds. All the appointments he makes, it is actually a threat to national security because that outfit will be difficult to deal with. UPND must get it in their head and heads that if they are to compete, to deal with President Lungu, they can only deal with him in the ballot. They up their game of politics in terms of fulfilling the promises. There is no other way. You can't use any other methods. They are also doing what they have launched, what they are calling, operational June 2025. They are hoping that if because they are beginning to lose hope about the case in the Concord, they are beginning to orchestrate an agenda to try and force Akainde Chilema to go to Parliament, including this anticipated the opening of Parliament, that possibly he can hint, or if not, gather courage and move a motion to say, can we consider removing the immunity of President Lungu? Because they are thinking that they can speed up, concoct some cases against him, speed up the process through the court to have him convicted with the hope that they'll stop him. I can tell you, every effort they make towards injuring President Lungu and try and defranchise him, they are basically just angering the Zambian people. And the examples, in Brazil, they attempted, a president emerged from prison and went to State House. There are many examples globally. We can only advise them. If you want a legacy of having left at least a peaceful country, don't go that route. Leave President Lungu alone. Unfortunately, when somebody is graced, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it. Even when you don't like it, there's nothing you can do about it. Just up your game. There was my brother who was speaking in Nenje. Wambaguti Makadas, Honorable Kampyongo has already stated. We didn't need to wait for people to rub it in our face. Just after the loss, we launched and put up a committee to go and interrogate the Zambian people to tell us why, with this development we have delivered, how could you make a decision of that nature to get us out of government? They said, in terms of development, we are fantastic. In terms of governance, we are fantastic. The only thing that has gotten us irritated to this level, and we made an emotional decision, is the conduct of your cadres. But I can tell you that even the so-called cadre behavior, it was more out of provocation from the UPND. The most violent political party in this country is the UPND. They are the ones who have Mapatiza formula and all other formulas. What they were doing in opposition by UPND is that they deliberately came up with a disruptive method. If, for example, one of their leaders is going to the police, they will carry weapons to go and fight with the police. And when the police react in self-defense and also making sure there is peace, then they take pictures and present there that the police are being brutal. That was the scheme of the UPND. They will be provocative deliberately. Why is it that we are in opposition today? Our activities, and there have never been any violent activities, in everything that we do, unless the UPND come to confront us. So yes, there is an issue of cadres, because ama cadres we sudamena baisa chiram. Gawate mwasana, when, for example, we are launching a Frava bridge, instead of celebrating in a, yes, there's development. Wakuraenda mutauni wale shunguru kandi inconveniencing, traffic. That is basically the sin that they were committing. They were getting overly excited. Mind you, we also had a deliberate policy to empower, citizens by a policy that was introduced that when it comes to any contract that involves a foreigner, 20% must be given to Zambians. Some of the people who were getting money and displaying were not even PF cadres. Were just people out of the goodwill of wanting to empower Zambians. Now, you can't guarantee how somebody will behave when for the first time in their life, you understand? The empowerment program was not bad, but you can't guarantee how somebody will behave when they have 200,000 kwacha. Some of them kumana sana wasenda kubaka pomba to try and show off. We still needed a process to start educating our citizens that the empowerment program is not meant for you to get crazy. It's meant for you to be able to create wealth for your family for the next generation. That work is what we're working on, and we may be condemned for it. But as I close, I want to appeal to the...
Close, my program director is telling me to close, yeah.
Appeal to the Zambian people. There is only one assignment we all have. PF, we consider ourselves just vessels on your behalf. Your assignment is to insist that nothing wrong is permitted for the UPND to do to differentiate them from expressing themselves clearly about what they want to happen in 2026. Go and register to vote, en masse, regardless of the shenanigans of the UPND who want to tilt the registration of voters in areas they consider, their strongholds. Let's all go and vote and prepare to come and vote these people out. There is no other way. Every well-meaning Zambian, I'm almost tempted to say every normal Zambian, can only go and vote out UPND. Thank you very much.
All right.
You have been listening to the Cutting Edge program